Quende, and that means let's go. Now, my friends, I do want to thank you so much for joining me here today. My name is Kat, and I'm going to be taking you guys through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Now, my friends, since this reserve is home to the animals we're going to be seeing, that means we got to go over a couple of house rules. Now, first things first, for everybody's safety, it is very important that we do remain seated all throughout our safari. If we have little ones sitting on laps, that is okay, but they do need to remain fully seated in the lap they are currently in. No standing up, no seat swapping, no child swapping of any kind is allowed on our safari. We're also going to want to keep our hands, arms, feet, and legs inside of the truck at all times. If we have loose items, we'll want to hang on to those, and if we've got food on board, we'll want that wrapped up and put away. Now, my friends, if I have anybody interested in getting any pictures today, I definitely recommend having those cameras out and ready to go, possibly in a sport or action mode, or taking some videos. I can stop for most animals, but I can't stop for all of them, and I can't guarantee they'll stop for us, so having those cameras ready to go is going to be most ideal. Now let's get this adventure started, my friends. We're going to start off in the little Ituri Forest. Now, forest animals are very well known for being good at camouflage, so let's keep our eyes wide open to see what we can find. Looks like off to the right there, I do spy an animal that is called an okapi. Now, the okapi are very shy forest animals. They spent so much time hiding in the forest that they weren't discovered until 1901. And even to this day, we're still not entirely sure how many okapi there are in the world. But one thing we do know about them, the okapi is the only living relative to a giraffe. They're going to have a very similar skull structure to a giraffe. They also have a prehensile tongue, just like a giraffe. Prehensile means finger-like. They'll use that tongue to get all the foods they like to eat. Now, my friends, look into the left side of the truck, but way up ahead of the truck, I see a couple animals. I see a light tan forest antelope that is called a greater kudu. I also see a very large black and white bird that's called a saddle-billed stork. Now, those saddle-billed storks, they get their name from a little yellow flap on their bill, which does indeed look like a saddle. They get to be about 5 feet tall, and they've got about a 9-foot wingspan. And to put that in perspective, my friends, 9 feet is about the same width as that canopy up above our heads. Now, coming up ahead on our left, I spy one of my favorite animals way up on the hill here. I do see a black rhino looking very majestic, if I might add. Now, the black rhinos, they are indeed named for the color of their skin. Black rhinos are also pretty solitary. They kind of prefer their alone time. Coming up on our right side, we get another look at a greater kudu. Now, you might notice the greater kudu, they have some very faint stripes that go across their backs. Those stripes actually work as their camouflage. It helps to break up their silhouette as they move through the forest, which in turn makes them pretty hard to find. Now, it looks like up to the left side there, I do see another type of forest antelope. Those red ones, they're called bongos. Now, the bongos, they also have stripes going across their backs, very similar to the greater kudu. Works the same way, breaking up their silhouette as they move through the forest. But when it comes to camouflage, those bongos have an extra little trick up their sleeve. Bongos are red. Most predators actually can't see the color red. So between those stripes and their coloring, when those bongos move through the forest, they're practically invisible. Now, my friends, the next stop on our safari is going to be the Safi River. So we'll want to keep a pretty close eye in the water. Well, my friends, I know I said we're keeping a close eye in the water, but already up ahead out of the water, I see some Nile hippos. Now, I'm hoping we'll see some more hippos as we keep moving along, so I'm going to tell you about the big white birds that we see. Those are called pink-backed pelicans. They get that name because during their mating season, the feathers on their backs turn a light shade of pink. Now, pink-backed pelicans, they're going to be colonial nesters. That means they nest in grouped pairs. Anywhere from 20 to 500 pairs will nest together. Now, we do see those 2 Nile hippos out of the water on our right side there, a group of hippos. They're called a bloat. Now, hippos, they can swim, but they're really not very good at it. They would much rather just run along the bottom of the riverbed floor. And since hippos can hold their breath for up to 8 minutes long, that does make hanging out at the bottom of the river pretty easy for them. Now the word hippopotamus, it does translate to river horse, but the closest living relative to a hippo is actually a whale. One of my favorite things about hippos, they've got really big teeth. Hippos have incisors that can get up to 18 inches long. Now they might use those great big teeth to defend themselves, but as far as food goes, hippos are herbivores, which is kind of just a fancy way for saying vegetarians. I do see a couple more out of the water on our left side. Now also coming up on our left, I do see some Nile crocodiles. Now Nile crocodiles, they're going to have one of the most powerful bite forces in the animal kingdom. They can weigh up to about 500 pounds, and they can eat about half of their body weight in a single sitting. Now those Nile crocodiles, they're also going to use their big powerful jaws to be very good parents. When they can sense that their eggs are going to start hatching, they're going to take those eggs, put them in their mouths, and toss them around very gently to help their babies hatch out. And then once those babies have hatched, if mom or dad suspect that there's any danger in the area, they're going to scoop their babies into their mouths and carry them off to safety. As we come around this way, my friends, our next stop is the African Savannah. Now the Savannah is going to be home to some of Africa's most famous and iconic animals, the ones we all know and love. Now each and every one of these animals is going to play their very own unique, very important role in maintaining the habitat we see out here. You're going to have animals like giraffes. Giraffes will use their long necks to eat the leaves and branches from trees. Not only does that help keep the trees clean, but that also allows for sunlight to reach lower lying plants. You'll have grazing animals like wildebeest and antelope. They're going to work very hard to make sure the grass is kept down. Even the predators will be important out in the savannah because they're going to make sure there aren't too many animals eating too many plants. Now already coming down the hill off to the right, I do spy a couple of giraffes here kind of hanging out in the trees. Now if you take a look at the spots on that giraffe, you might notice they are a little bit jagged. They kind of look like broken glass. That's going to tell us that is a Maasai giraffe. However, that coat pattern, it is unique to each individual giraffe. There are no two that are the same. Now giraffes, they've got those little horns on top of their heads, but those are actually not horns. They're called ossicones, and they are bones. It's actually a part of the giraffe skull structure. Now we did mention earlier that the okapis have a prehensile tongue just like these giraffes. The tongue of these giraffes can get up to about 18 inches long. Looking to our left, I see some African painted dogs. African painted dogs, their pack is led by an alpha male and an alpha female, and they can achieve up to about a 90% successful hunt rate. While most of their predators ambush their prey, painted dogs use teamwork and endurance to chase their prey till it just can't run any longer. That's when they're going to grab a bite to eat. Now coming up on our left side here, I do see a couple of very large tan antelope. These are called eland. Eland are going to be one of the largest antelope. They can get to be about 6 feet tall at the shoulder. You might notice those eland, they have a flap of skin that hangs from their neck. That's called a dewlap. That's actually what they use to regulate their body temperature. Now the giraffe off to our right side there, you might notice it kind of looks like it's chewing, but not really eating anything. Giraffes, they are ruminant animals. That means they have compartment stomachs, just like cows. If you see a ruminant animal chewing like that, they're doing something called chewing their cud, which is regurgitated foliage. And I know that sounds pretty gross to us, but for a ruminant animal, that is a great sign. It's a sign that they're very relaxed, very stress-free. It's a pretty good day to be them. Now coming up on our left side, way up on top of that hill, I do see some sable antelope. Now those sable antelope, they're the icon here at the Harambe Reserve. That's the animal that you saw depicted on the sign as you came in. They are so because they are very courageous animals. They're actually one of very few prey animals that will stand up and defend themselves against a predator. In a fight or flight situation, those sable antelope are pick and fight every single time. Now we've already passed one giraffe. I see a second on our right, a third on our left, a fourth in the distance, and a fifth further in the distance. A group of giraffes, they're called a tower. Giraffes, they are the tallest living animal. They can get anywhere from 16 to 20 feet tall. But a pretty cool thing about giraffes, they've actually got the same number of vertebrae in their neck as we have in ours. We have 7 cervical vertebrae. They also have 7 cervical vertebrae, but theirs will be a bit bigger than ours. Another thing these giraffe have that's going to be a bit bigger than the one we have is their heart. Giraffe have the largest heart of any living land animal. They can get up to about the size of a bowling ball and weigh up to about 25 pounds, compared to our hearts, which are roughly about the size of your fist and only weigh about 1 pound. I see a couple off to the right, but I see a few much closer here on our left. I see some Hartman's Mountain zebras. Now there are 2 things in particular that tell me these are Hartman's Mountain zebras as opposed to a different type of zebra. The stripes on their rumps are a bit wider spaced apart. Also, those stripes stop just before reaching their stomachs. But just like the spots of the giraffe, the stripes of those zebras are unique to each individual zebra. And my friends, a group of zebras, they're called dazzle. On our right side here, I do spy some Ankoli cattle, sometimes referred to as Watusi cattle because they were bred by the Watusi tribe in Africa. Back in Africa, these cattle are actually seen as a symbol of wealth. A couple more Hartman's Mountain zebras off to the right there. Also on the right, I see some pretty small tan and white antelope. Those are springbok. Springbok are going to be one of the smallest antelope, but they get their name because they can spring straight up in the air, about 6 feet high. See one more giraffe hanging out amongst the bushes and the trees there to the right side. Now another pretty fun fact about giraffes. Giraffes just so happen to be very good at taking power naps. Giraffes only sleep for about 30 minutes a day. And they don't even do it in a single sitting. They do it in spurts for about 5 to 6 minutes at a time, all throughout the day. I do think I can just barely spy an African elephant coming up ahead on our right side. Now the easiest way to tell the difference between an Asian elephant and an African elephant is their ears. The ears of the African elephant, as you'll see with that one there to the right, they're very conveniently shaped like the continent of Africa, so that does give you a pretty good hint to which one it would be. But my friends, at the end of the day, if you're in Africa, you're seeing African elephants. If you're in Asia, you're seeing Asian elephants. Plus, if you put the 2 next to each other, you would realize the African elephant is larger. Now, speaking of large, we all know elephants are very big animals. As very big animals, they need to eat a lot of food. Elephants can eat up to 300 pounds of food in a day. We did mention that those ears are a pretty great way to identify what type of elephant it is you're looking at, but those ears do serve another purpose. Elephants use their ears for something other than just hearing. They're going to use their ears to help keep themselves cool. They'll flap their ears to kind of fan themselves off, send some cool air over their backs. They can actually lower their body temperature up to about 15 degrees by doing that. Also, throughout the ears of the elephants, they've got very large blood vessels, which allow them to release heat so they can regulate their body temperature. Now, my friends, it's not the same, but it is kind of similar to how we sweat to release heat and regulate our body temperature. Those elephants are not going to sweat, but they are going to use the blood vessels in their ears to regulate their body temperature. Looking off to the left, I see a couple more African elephants. I'm hoping as we make our next couple of turns, we'll get a pretty good look. Now, elephants, they are very social animals. Elephants do live in a herd, but the herd of an elephant is made up of a matriarchy, so that means that it's almost exclusively females. The females are in charge. The females will spend pretty much their entire lives together from the moment they're born. Now, elephants, they do mature at about the age of 13. At that age, it's not uncommon for the male elephants to go off and leave the herd. But a lot of times the male elephants actually go off together and they form bachelor herds. Now, my friends, once again, as we make our next couple of turns, I do think we're going to get a much better look, but I did see a very small surprise there. Looks like we might be just a little bit backed up, though. As I did mention on the way in, this reserve is home to these animals, and sometimes they like to stand in the middle of the road. But I do think I see some movement going up ahead. We do get a pretty good look at that small surprise. Now, my friends, I do say small surprise, but that baby elephant weighs about 300 pounds. Now, my friends, we all know that elephants, they use their trunks for a whole lot of things. They've got about 40,000 muscles within those trunks, and they can hold up to about 8 liters of water. So if you think of like a 2-liter bottle of soda, an elephant can hold about 4 of those within its trunk.
Would they have longer tusks and they've been shortened? Or is that their tusks?
It's a little complicated. We'll talk about it at the end of this part.
Okay.
We gotta sit, baby.
Now, as we come around this way, friends, on our left side here, we have some flamingos. Now, these flamingos here, they are greater flamingos. They're the largest flamingo species and the palest pink. They do get their pink color from the shrimp and brine they like to eat. Those are both very rich in beta carotene, which gets absorbed through their feathers and comes out that pink color. Now, when flamingos are born, they're actually born kind of a whitish gray color. They develop their pink over time, usually reaching their full pink potential at around 1 to 2 years of age.
How'd you know that? Those are mine. She knew that. That's her wife. The diet. The sugar.
Now, my friends, it looks like coming around this way on our left, I do see some white rhinos. Now, my friends, the thing about the white rhinos, they're actually not white. But if you get a chance to look at their mouths, you'll notice their mouths are very wide. They were originally named after those wide mouths. But the Afrikaans word for wide is wijd. So when the English came to Africa, what they thought was being said was white. The term white rhino has just stuck from there. You might also notice those white rhinos are pretty social. White rhinos like to spend time together. A group of rhinos is called a crash. Up on the right side there, I do spy an ostrich. Largest of birds, fastest animal on 2 legs, running up to speeds of about 40 to 45 miles per hour. But they are flightless birds. Ostrich do not fly. Now, as we make our next turn, my friends, let's keep a close eye up on our left side. We're looking for cheetahs, but I think I already spotted a couple of them. Now, cheetahs, they are the fastest land mammals. They can run up to speeds of about 60 to 70 miles per hour. But they are sprinters. They're not endurance runners, so they only maintain their top speeds for a couple hundred yards. But they can reach those top speeds in about 3 seconds, which is actually faster than the takeoff for a rock and roller coaster. Now, my friends, my favorite thing about cheetahs do not roar, but they do meow. They make a chirping sound, and they purr. Now, most other predators prefer to hunt at night, but cheetahs actually prefer to hunt during the daytime. Because of that, they have those black streaks that go down their faces. Those allow them to reflect the glare from the sun so they can see while they hunt throughout the day. Now, looking up to the left side there, I do spy the female lioness.
Right underneath
when it comes to lions, it is those females that go out and do the hunting. The males stay back, they guard the territory, and they guard the cubs. That is if there are cubs. If there are no cubs, the males will be out hunting with the females. And you see the big male lion there to the left, but also coming up on our right, I see another ostrich as well as a water buck. I see 2 water bucks. Now the water bucks, they are a type of antelope. Like their name suggests, they like to spend a lot of time around large bodies of water. They'll actually use it as a defense. If they're being chased by a predator, they swim out into the open water and wait there till they feel it is safe to come back to the land. Now we do see those lions to our left side. Now my friends, the roar of a lion, it can get very loud. At top volume, their roar can be heard up to about 5 miles away. And to put that in perspective, my friends, 5 miles is about the same distance as where we are now, all the way over to Epcot. As we come around this way, my friends, looking to our left, I see some warthogs. Now warthogs, they are burrowing animals, one of the largest burrowing animals. They use their tusks to dig out burrows for them to live in, but warthogs have been known to steal burrows that other animals have abandoned. But that's okay, because that's just like recycling. We got another look at an ostrich coming up ahead on our right side. Now we can tell these ostrich are females because of the color of their feathers. They're kind of a brownish gray color. Male ostrich will have distinctly dark black feathers with white on their underside. Now another great way we can tell those ostrich were female, looking to our right side there, I see some ostrich eggs. Now those ostrich eggs, they're going to be super strong. An average-sized human could actually stand on an ostrich egg and it would not break. You might have also noticed that those eggs were not in a nest. That's because ostrich don't make nests. And so what they're going to do, the most dominant female in the group, she'll lay her egg in the middle, and the other females will lay their eggs around hers. As we come around this way, my friends, we'll see some animals that look a little more familiar, but they're still just as important in maintaining their ecosystem. They like to eat a lot of undergrowth that other animals don't like to eat. These are Nigerian dwarf goats. They're a miniature goat that come from West Africa. And these goats are pretty great because unlike other dairy-producing animals, they're pretty small, so they don't take up a lot of space and they don't take up a lot of resources. However, their milk can still be made into a number of different products, anything ranging from butter to cheese. You can even make soap out of it. Now, my friends, right next door to us here at the safari, we do have a train that will take you over to Rafiki's Planet Watch. Over there, they have an affection section where you actually get an opportunity to pet some Nigerian dwarf goats as well as some other domesticated animals. There'll be a bunch of other fun activities for you to participate in while you're over there. The only thing, my friends, is that the first train to take you to Rafiki's Planet Watch will be leaving at 9:30. The last train will be leaving at 4:30. So if you're wanting to plan that in your day, you just want to plan it accordingly. However, the trains do leave about every 5 minutes, so there are plenty of them going throughout the day. Now, my friends, every decision that we make can be a decision in the right direction for conservation. And just by you guys making the decision to come ride the safari here today, that is a huge step forward because we're getting a chance to learn about these animals and we're learning some facts we can take home to share with our friends and family to keep that conservation conversation going. So I do want to thank you guys so much for joining me here today. Now, unfortunately, my friends, our safari is coming down to an end, but that doesn't mean the adventurers have to. There's still so many places to go find animals as you're out exploring Disney's Animal Kingdom. Right next door, we have the Gorilla Falls Exploration Trail. That's a brief walking trail that gives you an up-close look at some of the animals we saw today, as well as some new ones. Over there, they will have more okapi. They'll have an underwater viewing area for the hippos. They'll have a different type of zebra called a Grevy's zebra, so you can compare those stripes. They'll have meerkats, naked mole rats, gorillas, and many more. Over in Asia, we have the Maharaja Jungle Trek. That's going to give you an up-close look at Asian animals like Komodo dragons, Asian water buffalo, and even some tigers. Now, my friends, if I happen to have any wilderness explorers on board, you guys have been riding the Simba 1, Simba like the lion, and then the number 1. You're going to be grabbing your badge just up the hill under the umbrella. If you're trying to collect all the badges today, you do get quite a few more badges for completing both of those 2 walk-in trails we just mentioned. So So if you're trying to get all those badges, I recommend checking out those trails. Now as we go to depart, my friends, I don't want to say goodbye. That's just way too sad and way too final. So instead I'm going to be leaving you guys with walking, and that means to go well. Now my friends, if we're sitting on the right side, please watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. Doors are going to slide open. Or you may friends, go well, go wild, go have a wonderful time as you explore Disney's Animal Kingdom.
For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life.
Now those Nile crocodiles are also going to use their big powerful jaws to be very good parents. When they can sense that their eggs are going to start hatching, they're going to take those eggs, put them in their mouths, and toss them around very gently to help their babies hatch out.